step by step for now, and then let's see what it looks like, would be my recommendation.
And again, that region, it's Enosburg, Richford, or the K through 12. Any other comments, questions on the Enosburg, Richford mergers? Any motion to be made?
Alrighty.
Who's got?
Alrighty, for the reasons articulated in the Secretary of Education's June 1st, 2018 proposed statewide education governance plans proposal for the Enosburg and Richford school districts, I move that the board provisionally, 1, find that the proposal satisfies and meets the requirements of Act 46 as amended, our rules and other applicable law, and 2, approve the Secretary's proposal for those school districts, subject to final approval by the board after further review and deliberation prior to November 30th, 2018.
Is there a second? Seconded by John. So, more discussion needed, or are people ready for a vote? For a vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
So one by Bill. So ayes have it, and so you voted to put Enosburg and Richford together. At this point, I would say that we should take a quick break. We didn't take the break earlier, if that's okay, so if people want to take the quick break right now. So if we could just do a 10-minute break. We're always a little bit late, so let's shoot for 10 minutes. Is that amenable to all? All right, so we'll break for 10 minutes and come back. All right, if we can come back together and reconvene. We are going to pick up with Fairfax, Fletcher, and Georgia. So in the Secretary's plan, that is on page 157. And so it goes through the plan, and the recommendation is on page 159. The recommendation from the Secretary is because the Secretary believes that it's not practical to require merger at this time, the Secretary does not propose that the State Board merge Fairfax School District, the Fletcher School District, or the Georgia School District with another district to create one or more unified union school districts in the statewide plan. By the time the State Board is required to issue its statewide plan in November, it may have additional information. And just to remember that these are 3 different areas that have different operating structures, and they also are surrounded by areas that under the law are exempt from the plan. So since they've already merged. So if you're looking at your map, because they're neighbors of Maple Run, have already come together, they are exempted, and also with Essex and Westford, they are exempted. So Georgia does have the same operating structure as South Hero, but they are not contiguous. So that was the reason there. So questions, comments on the Franklin West SU, which is Georgia, Fairfax, and Fletcher? John, yeah.
For those of us that don't cruise around Chittenden County a lot.
That's Franklin County.
It's Franklin County, actually.
Oh, it looks like Chittenden County. But
It is close to Chittenden County, but,
It's close. Well, let's just say the northwest area of the state.
okay.
How would I get from Georgia to South Hero, just as if we're talking about geographic isolation?
They're off the highway. So Georgia is exit 18, South Hero, you would take exit 17.
Okay.
For that's my commute.
Long drive?
So
Unless
it
you
is a
have a boat,
MapQuest,
okay.
so what is it?
That seems rough in the winter.
Well, Georgia, so, I mean, that is a question. You voted last meeting to accept the Secretary's recommendation to leave South Hero. But South Hero, and correct me if I'm wrong, just if you want to look, and Mr. French, Secretary, if you could let me know, South Hero and Georgia do have the same operating structure, correct? K through 8?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then the islands had voted, at one point, South Hero was considering not having 7 and 8, but they, in the end, did not go that route. So Georgia and South Hero have similar structures, and then Fletcher is K through 6, while Fairfax is K through 12. And then if you're looking where I live, where it's all purple or hiccup on the map, Cambridge, that is also a K6, but last meeting you move it to Lamoille North, because that's where it sends its Union School, so it's a Union School member.
And my apologies for moving Georgia into Chittenden County,
Yes, yeah.
by the way.
It's
I'm sure
definitely
I
Franklin.
sparked some local debate
Yes.
or historic issue, but I apologize.
Oliver?
Yeah, I think for the same rationale we went through with the islands, that, keeping these, keeping the existing structure as proposed by the secretary is the right way to go in this instance.
Phil?
I would move it.
You want to make a motion?
Sure.
Okay, what's your motion?
Here, Bill.
December 1, is it not?
Yep.
For the reasons articulated in the Secretary of Education's June the 1st, 2018 proposed statewide education governance plans proposal for the Fairfax, Fletcher, and Georgia school districts, I move that the board provisionally find that the proposal satisfies and meets the requirements of Act 46 as amended, air rules, and other applicable law, and approve the Secretary's proposal for that school district, subject to final approval by the board after further review and deliberation prior to November the 30th, 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, okay, Oliver. Other discussion? Okay, seeing that we're ready for a vote, all those in favor of accepting the secretary's recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and so you've accepted the secretary's recommendation for Fairfax, Fletcher, and Georgia. The next one in the secretary's plan was Heartland School District and the Weathersfield School District. And the Heartland, sorry, tripping on my words, you have more teeth, is 430 students, and Weathersfield is 311. On page 165 is the secretary's recommendation, and that the secretary believes that it is not practical to require merge at this time because it would not advance the goals of 46. The secretary does not propose that the state board merge the Heartland School District and the Weathersfield School District into a unified union school district in the state plan. By the time the state board is required to issue its state plan in November, it may have additional information in which to make its decision. So, what I found interesting, even in the secretary's report on page 164, where it said merger of Heartland and Weathersfield School District is both possible and practicable, and then goes on to then argue against that. And so it was interesting that saying that it was both, but again, this is one of those areas that it really goes down to sort of where students are going in the tax structure. I mean, so it's just interesting that saying it is possible, is practicable, but we don't recommend it. So I was just wondering, Secretary French, could you give your opinion on this and just seeing that it is both practicable and possible?
Yeah, I guess the question would be whether the tuitioning patterns make it less practicable. And I think that's where sort of perhaps the secretary's narrative doesn't quite make that connection. But that would be a question for the board. That to me is sort of the salient issue, that they're oriented in different directions. They have different tuitioning patterns. Other than that, they could be merged and do reside in the same supervisory union.
John?
May I ask, what's the reason for not bringing these two districts together with the Windsor-West Windsor district?
I mean, I think the secretary is, in that last paragraph on page 164, So the second to last paragraph, more compelling it is that the communities in these districts are orientated in different directions.